Unlimited, and we are live here to talk about all things Backlash. We're going to wait for you guys to get here in the live chat, and then we're going to begin. Backlash just took place from the Richmond Coliseum, and we have a lot to talk about. Like I said, I'm going to wait for you guys to come in on the chat, and then we'll get started with the discussion, the recap, the review of Smackdown Live's Backlash. All right, all right. So let's start off by talking about the big topic of the day, Randy Orton. The news broke this morning that there was a possibility Randy Orton was not going to be able to wrestle tonight at Backlash. It was it was broken first by Pro Wrestling Sheet, and they were stating, hey, they got some info. They found out Orton may not be cleared, and more stuff started coming up throughout the day. We ended up finding out that he didn't pass an impact test, and an impact test is only given when you're having concussion-like symptoms. So Orton, so Orton ultimately, wasn't cleared. Apparently, he may have a concussion or some sort of concussion like symptoms, and that's why he wasn't able to wrestle tonight. But we did see Randy Orton at Backlash. We're going to get to that in a little bit. First match of the night was actually a kickoff match. They had not announced this kickoff match prior to tonight's Backlash event, but hey, we got it anyways, and it was Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. Match wasn't that bad. It was a pretty good match. And in the end, it ended up Baron Corbin getting the win. A lot of people were trying to say, oh, they did that so they can set Baron Corbin up for a title opportunity down the road. I don't know if that's the plan. It could be that they want to make Baron Corbin a challenger for the WWE Championship. Now that, little spoiler if you haven't seen it yet, but I mean, if you're not going to be in this chat if you haven't seen it, but AJ Styles is now the champion. He's a heel, so I would assume, of course, Dean's going to get the title shot again coming up at No Mercy, but who else do they have? We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. Who else do they have for AJ Styles to actually defend against on SmackDown? So Backlash opens up, and out comes Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, and they're talking about, okay, tonight we're going to crown the first tag team champions, and we're going to crown our first women's champion. They ended up starting the show off with the women's six-pack elimination challenge, and it was interesting because the match wasn't, in my opinion, all that great. It seemed like a big jumble, to be honest. Like, the women were just there, and they were all trying to hit all these moves, and they hit a couple big power bombs and a couple, I mean, they hit some good spots, if you can say that. But they didn't really do anything great in the women's match. Let's see. Order of elimination went. Let me get my notes here. Alexa Bliss eliminated first. Naomi eliminated second. Natalia was eliminated third. And did you guys see that whack ass, I guess, pin you can call it? Oh, yeah. Pin that Carmella had on Nikki Bella? Like, that was horrible. She barely had her rolled up, and she didn't even hit a move on her to knock her down or knock her out or anything. That was crap. She just picked her up off of Natalia after Natalia got pinned. She rolled her. Boom. It wasn't even a good, like, oh, she was surprised schoolboy. No, that was horrible. But in the end, Carmella, Becky Lynch, final two. Becky Lynch walks out the WWE Smackdown Women's Champion. All right, people are starting to come in on the chat. Let's see who we've got. We've got Danny 310, Teresa Wade, Connor Powell, T Hall. What is going on, guys? How did you guys think Backlash went? What were you guys' thoughts? Let us know. We're going to talk about it. We're going to, obviously run down the entire event as we've started. So let's get on with the next match. Excuse me. Next up, we did have the Usos versus the Hype Bros. Usos came out. They didn't do their normal entrance, and they've gone full on heel here. They didn't do their normal entrance. They came down wearing all black and white jackets, well, vests, and they didn't have the face paint. So, it was like a normal SmackDown tag team match. They dominated on Zack Ryder for a little bit. Then he got Mojo tagged in, and then eventually Usos got the win. They're gonna go on face the team of Heath Slater and Rhino for the tag titles later in the night. We then get The Miz defending the WWE Intercontinental Championship against Dolph Ziggler. Dolph made his entrance, and then we get this video backstage, and it's The Miz talking to Daniel Bryan saying, hey, I want to renegotiate my contract. I'm an A-lister. I'm the Intercontinental Champion. You need me here on SmackDown. I want to be paid more. He even told Daniel Bryan, you know what? If I don't get what I want and I'm not happy here, I'm gonna go see if I can get on Raw. His music then hits and he tells Daniel Bryan, you know what? Let's wait and we'll talk about this after I defend my championship. So The Miz comes out for the match with Dolph Ziggler, and it's actually, to be honest, it was actually a really good match. They traded finishers. Well, Dolph kept hitting super kicks, and he kept hitting, the famouser. But I mean, both guys did a really good job. What do you guys think of the Intercontinental Championship match? I think it was, in my opinion, match. Well, I mean, there wasn't really many good matches on the card, so I guess, yeah, match two of the night. See what you guys think. What do you think of the Intercontinental Championship match with The Miz actually defending successfully his championship? Because if match ended with Maurice distracted Dolph Ziggler, and they went back and forth with roll-ups. Ziggler then made it to the ropes, where Maurice then ended up spraying him in the face. I guess it was like perfume or something. I don't even know what it was, which allowed Miz to hit the skull-crushing finale and get the win. Let's see what you guys are saying. Nest Sanch says that Miz is being awesome. I agree. Miz, ever since that Daniel Bryan segment on Talking Smack, Miz has stepped it up. Danny310 is asking, is this our first live stream? Actually, this is our third live stream. We did a live stream after SummerSlam. We did a live stream last week. It was our 4,000 subscriber live stream. We played some WWE Supercard, and We're here again for Backlash. We're going to be live here on YouTube after every WWE pay-per-view. We're going to try and be on for about an hour, run down the pay-per-view, talk with you guys, see what you guys thought of the show, and answer some of your questions. Alright, so following the Intercontinental Championship match, we did see a backstage segment where you see Bray Wyatt from behind and the camera zooms down this corridor and you ultimately see him and Randy Orton. Randy Orton's laying on the ground and I wasn't sure if it was, I guess it was a door. He had Randy's leg, it was like his calf, between the door and the door frame and he was slamming the door on Randy's leg, and Randy injured. Goes back to what I said earlier. Randy Orton was not medically cleared to actually have a full-on match tonight, and so they did a injury angle during the show, so they didn't have to announce anything prior or whatever, saying, "Oh, Orton's not cleared, he can't wrestle tonight." No, they just did an injury angle, and there's more to come of this as the show goes on. So we get a couple segments on hyping up the WWE Network and whatnot, and then Bray Wyatt comes out. Bray Wyatt comes out and no Randy Orton. So he tells the ref, count 10. I want to win by count out, forfeit, whatever you want to call it. So referee does the 10 count, and Greg Hamilton, here's your winner by forfeit, count out, Bray Wyatt. He's then handed a card, and he's like, really? Okay. The card he reads and says, Bray Wyatt will have a match tonight, and that match is a no-holds-barred match against this man. So we wait about a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes, and Bray's looking at Hamilton like, who is it? Who is it? Tell me who it is. You know who it is. And announcer Greg Hamilton had no clue who it was, and out comes Kane. That was the rumor from earlier in the day that Kane would be the one to fill in for Randy Orton. So they go on to have a pretty good match. It wasn't as good as the main event or the Intercontinental Championship match, but they have a pretty decent no-holds-barred match. At one point, Kane was going to try and put Bray Wyatt through the announcer table. Bray deflected that by hitting Kane with a ring bell. Ultimately, he put Kane on top of the announce table on, I guess it's the French announce table. It's either the French or the Spanish. He then got up on the normal Smackdown announce table, the English, and he did his little senton splash move on top of Kane, putting Kane through the table. They broke. Wyatt then throws him back into the ring and hits the Sister Abigail, but Kane actually counters it with a chokeslam. Wyatt came back with a chokeslam of his own off of a chair for a near fall. Suddenly, Orton emerges down the ramp with his foot wrapped up, the injury, the calf, and he distracts Bray Wyatt. Bray kind of goes to the side of the ring like, what are you doing out here? Randy then skimmers into the ring. He slides up in, hits an RKO. Kane gets the win. So, Bray Wyatt, once again, the jobber, the man that has to lose. I mean, I really didn't want to see Bray Wyatt lose. I thought, okay, he's not facing Randy Orton. He's going to face somebody else. Perfect opportunity to give Bray Wyatt a victory. There's no reason for Bray Wyatt to have to lose. But I guess their thinking is, we want this story to go on further, so why not have Randy Orton screw Bray Wyatt, and then the match can go at No Mercy. Because I really don't think Randy's going to be not cleared all the way to No Mercy. I mean, he was cleared enough to where he can hit an RKO tonight, so that's a good sign. Nesach says WWE will not get behind Bray Wyatt for some reason. That is very true, and we don't know what that reason is. I would really like to know why they won't push Bray Wyatt. Bray is one of the more talented guys on the roster, not just on the mic, but in the ring as well. It's like a Kevin Owens kind of thing. He's not the bodybuilder type. He's not the cruiserweight, but for his size, the things he can do very well. Next up, we have Heath Slater and Rhino taking on the Usos with the tag team championships on the line. Most of the match was pretty boring, to be honest, but once Rhino got the tag, it really did pick up. Usos focused on Slater, isolating him from Rhino for quite a while. With them working heels, Usos were just there, and they were losing to these baby faces. It wasn't really anything great. The match was just it was like the other tag team match. It was just a Smackdown tag team match. After what felt like a long nothing, like it just felt like the match dragged on, Slater finally collided with his opponents and they both make the tag. Rhino runs in, runs wild, goes for a gore, but is pushed headfirst into the turnbuckle. Slater then gets back in and hits neck breakers on both Usos and hits a lifting, jumping DDT for the near fall. Jimmy Uso then hits a super kick on Slater before getting hit by a gore. Slater then eventually does get the pin, and Heath Slater and Rhino win the tag championships. So what do you guys think of Heath Slater and Rhino winning the tag titles? I feel like it's good and bad. Heath Slater has done a great job since this brand split on making himself a great, not only on the mic, well, I guess mainly on the mic, but he hasn't been bad in the ring. Now, the thing is, his whole gimmick is that, he's the free agent. He can try to get signed by Raw. He can try to get signed by SmackDown. And his whole gimmick is, I want to get signed. I'm going to do what I can to get signed. And now that he's signed, what the hell's going to happen with him? Is he going to keep that gimmick on, I'm going to do this and this for my family? Is the gimmick, I'm going to maybe get in trouble, SmackDown's not going to want me, maybe I can go to Raw? I don't know what they're going to do with Heath Slater now. I feel like now that he's signed, he's screwed, to be honest. Billy McGrath says, I think it was good for ratings, but I liked the free agent deal. You're right. The free agent deal was great. Teresa Wade says, Heath can finally get the up-door pool and pay for family. He said it. He said it after the match. He said, Beulah, baby, I'm getting you that double wide. All right. Rhino, Rhino was just there. He hit a gore and a couple other moves, but Rhino was just there. I see you guys talking about Matt Hardy and Velvet Sky being backstage at SummerSlam. I did hear that. I did hear Velvet Sky was backstage. There's actually a picture floating around of her and Natalya outside the arena. See if I can show you guys that photo. Let me pull it up here. Let's see, Velvet Sky. Got this right here. Velvet Sky and Natalya. The photo was taken today. I don't know who actually got the photo and was able to post it on Twitter, because the photo has been posted by multiple different Twitter accounts. So go back over here. As regards to Matt Hardy, I didn't see anything. I heard he was backstage, but there was no photos of him or anything like that going around. So it's going to be interesting to see why Velvet Sky being backstage, maybe she's trying to sign with the WWE. Matt Hardy being backstage, it's very interesting. So, going to follow that story for you guys for sure. Billy McGrath says that Velvet would be a great pickup. Yeah, she's not the best in the ring, but, I mean, if you look at who they do have, she is better than a lot of the females they do have in the WWE right now. I know there was a rumor that if this Cruiserweight Classic is successful, which it has been, Stephanie would like to have a tournament for women. and Velvet Sky was one of her first choices on who she would like for this tournament. So it could be the fact of they're trying to get this women's tournament set up and to go good, and she was backstage just talking about maybe coming in for that. Billy McGrath says he heard that Bubba was trying to give Velvet a contract. That was a rumor that no one could confirm. So yes, people were saying, "Oh, her boyfriend's Bubba Ray Dudley. Her boyfriend Bubba's in the WWE. Why isn't she in the WWE with him?" That's where that all came from. I never heard anything confirming that Bubba was lobbying, but I know that Bubba had said in interviews that she would be a good addition to NXT. So I don't know if they would maybe want her in NXT at first, which I would assume, and then she can work her way up through NXT, get a little better, get some more experience, get her name out there to the WWE fans, and then come to SmackDown or Raw. Billy McGrath says she has experience, which is what SmackDown needs, I think. She has experience in TNA. And to WWE, I mean, look at AJ Styles. He didn't get even a thought in WWE on them wanting to sign him until he went to Japan. So they were never interested in AJ Styles in TNA. So that's, you can't just say she's got the experience from TNA. All right, so back to SmackDown. We got the main event. Sorry, not SmackDown. Backlash. Okay, I have a question really fast for you guys. How many of you thought that Backlash tonight just felt like an episode of SmackDown with an extra hour? Nothing extra happened that we wouldn't see on our normal SmackDown other than, they crowned some champions and there's a title change. But how many of you agree with me and feel the same way I feel on it didn't feel any different than watching SmackDown or a 3-hour Raw? So that's one negative I can say about tonight's Backlash pay-per-view. All right, let's run down this main event. Main event was great. It was the match of the night for sure, and it was okay when the match started, but it really picked up when about the halfway point of this match. Like they knew it was going to be a long. To me, I felt like they knew it was going to be a long match, so their thinking was, all right, we're gonna slowly build this match up, and then once we get that time where okay, here we go, we got 10, 20, 15-ish. I think it was about the 15 minutes to go mark. That's when they stepped it up. It's about 10 to 15 minutes in, and in about 10 to 15 minutes, 15 minutes left in the match, both men stepped it up. About that time when they started stepping up, they started teasing their finishers, but neither were able to hit it. Styles got Ambrose's knee and started working on it as we realized, he's going to start going for the calf crusher. And he teased it a couple times and wasn't able to really lock it in. He eventually did get it locked in after I think like the second, maybe third attempt. But Ambrose did eventually, scamper over, get them ropes. AJ had to let go. Styles then went for a Styles clash, but Ambrose managed to make it to the apron. Styles grabbed him, and Ambrose countered it, slingshotting AJ Styles into the ring post. What it was, if you guys didn't see, both men were outside the ring, standing on the ring post, and it looked like AJ was going to try to hit a Styles clash from out there. Ambrose countered it. AJ's on his back, and he slingshotted him, and he went shoulder first into the ring post. That was a really good spot. Both men then make it back in the ring before the referee counts to 10, and Styles comes at Ambrose with a fury of offense. Styles then hits a springboard 450, but Ambrose kicks out. Ambrose makes a comeback, drop kicks AJ through the ropes to the floor. Ambrose continues flinging himself around like a rag doll, throwing himself into the announce table, throwing himself into throwing AJ into the barricade, and Ambrose takes Styles down with a running clothesline as they brawl through the crowd. Ambrose actually jumped up onto the announce table after throwing AJ over the barricade. He jumped up on the announce table. He ran from one announce table to the second announce table and jumped over the barricade and clotheslined AJ. They both make it finally. Ambrose makes it to the ring, breaks the count, goes, grabs AJ, brings it back into the ring. As he gets AJ in the ring, he goes for dirty deeds, but AJ actually pushes him into the referee, and the referee kind of gets discombobulated. So with the referee down, AJ goes for the low blow. AJ then hits the Styles Clash, pins Dean Ambrose. 1, 2, 3. We have a new WWE World Champion. Billy McGrath says he noticed a lot of boos during the offense of Ambrose, and I noticed that too. I did hear a lot of boos when it looked like Ambrose was trying to take control of the match, because people, as much as people want to say they like Dean Ambrose, they really don't. And I might get heat for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like Dean Ambrose is getting stale. Ever since the Shield broke up, Ambrose has been this wild man, this crazy, unpredictable guy. And he's still the same. He hasn't evolved his character at all. He hasn't changed his character at all. He hasn't done anything to make us interested in his character. He's the exact same. Now you're going to say, what about Roman Reigns? He's the exact same. He is, but he's stepped it up in the way of he's got more confidence in himself, and he's better on the mic. Ambrose was always good on the mic. He's not any better than he was, and his in-ring, I feel, has actually started to drop his in-ring performances. So I think Dean Ambrose really needs to change something about him. It's like with the Usos. They've been the same for like 4 or 5 years. They finally change it up, go heel. Hey, maybe the Usos are going to be interesting again. Dean, I'm not saying Dean go heel, but Dean just needs to evolve his character and change a couple things to maybe make himself interesting again and make people interested in him. Because the only people that are still fans of Dean Ambrose, to be honest, are the people that were fans of Dean Ambrose either during the Shield or right after the Shield broke up when he was feuding with Seth Rollins. He's not making anybody new fans of him. It's just the people that have been fans of Dean Ambrose are still fans of Dean Ambrose. And that's why we heard the boos and we heard the crowd kind of get quiet when AJ Styles wasn't the one in control of the match. So, what do you guys think? Let's hear from you guys. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk Backlash. I told you what I thought. I ran down the card for you, which was, it didn't even feel like a 3-hour show. Like I said, it felt like I was watching Smackdown with an extra hour, and the extra hour didn't even seem to be there. It was there because I knew what time it started and I knew what time this ended. That's the only reason why I know it was a 3-hour show. Watching it, it went by pretty quickly. But what do you guys think? Teresa Wade says Dean equals heel. What is the SmackDown? What are you trying to say? I don't. Nest Satch says Dean needs to go a little more dark. Maybe. Maybe he should be more, I'm not saying Bray Wyatt, but take his lunatic character to the next level. You don't have to go full heel. No. But make yourself more interesting in the way of, okay, I'm going to be more, how do I say this? I got the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. How do I say this? It's, mysterious. They say Dean Ambrose is unpredictable. Well, make yourself more unpredictable. Just don't make yourself wacky, because I feel Dean is just getting more and more wacky. Real Steph Curry is asking about CM Punk coming back to the WWE. No. CM Punk, at least not now, not in the next year or two, is most likely not coming back to the WWE. Danny310 wants to know what I would rate this show. What I would rate Backlash at a 10, 7, and that's being generous, to be honest. That's that's on the high scale, giving it a 7. Like, I know there's going to be people that are going to give this a 5. They're going to say this was a mediocre show at best. But because Dolph Ziggler and The Miz stepped it up, because Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles stepped it up, I'm going to give it a 7 for those two matches alone. Teresa Wade also says 7. Danny310 says that he's glad that Dean Ambrose lost the title. Real Stuff Curry asking about Mr. Kennedy. I haven't heard anything about Mr. Kennedy in quite some time. Mr. Kennedy, Ken Anderson, I haven't heard his name come up. I don't know how long it's been. It's been at least 8 months probably since I really heard anybody talking about him. Danny310 says that he'd rate the show a 6. Billy McGrath agrees with me, saying that 7 out of 10. So, I mean, let's think about this, though. This was supposed to be the first brand-specific pay-per-view after the draft, and there's not much significance that came out of it. I recapped this whole show in less than 30 minutes because there wasn't anything to talk about. It was just there were some tag team matches. They were all right. There was a women's six-pack challenge. It had 2 high spots. There was a Naomi hit a, I guess you could say, float over, power bomb, Tower of Doom kind of move, and then there was another Tower of Doom kind of move. Other than that, Becky Lynch is the champ. And then, like I said, with the tag matches, okay, Heath Slater, Rhino, tag champs. Where do they go from here? You killed Heath Slater's gimmick. Becky versus Nikki next pay-per-view? No. Becky's a face. Nikki's a baby face. Becky's a baby face. You know, Nikki's a baby face. They're going to want a heel to go against Becky Lynch. I really hope that you go to No Mercy and it isn't Carmella challenging for the title. I guess if it's going to be somebody, make it Natty. I know we've seen Natty versus Becky Lynch a lot this year already, but hey, what do they have on SmackDown if you don't want baby faces going against baby faces? That's just, how I see it. Who's going to get the next shot at the tag titles on SmackDown? I would probably say the Usos, but they got their shot tonight. American Alpha, we don't know where they're going with the Chad Gable injury. So, there's more questions than answers that came out of Backlash. The only thing we do know is, we don't know for sure, but it's almost a lock that at No Mercy, it's going to be a rematch for the WWE World Championship. And they're probably going to try and do Bray versus Randy at No Mercy as well. Because the match didn't happen here, and with the world title match, AJ won with that low blow, so there's that. Dean gets his rematch anyways, but AJ won in controversy, so I don't know. I mean, so, but if you guys got any questions, ask them now, because there's really not much more we can talk about Backlash wise. So, what do you guys got any questions for me or not? Even real Steph Curry says Eva Marie comes back in 5 days. Yeah, she won't be on this week's SmackDown, but we should see her on the following week's SmackDown. So, I don't know what they're going to do with Eva Marie. They really had no plans for her before, so no. Laura says, I'm calling it. Kurt Angle returns at the Royal Rumble 2017, hashtag LA. Okay, I don't know if Royal Rumble is going to be in LA. Originally, they said Royal Rumble was supposed to take place Los Angeles Staples Center, January 22nd, and the pre-sale tickets are supposed to go on sale the end of August. Pre-sale tickets never went on sale. Also, I was actually told that was false. They're not going to happen. It's not going to happen at the Staples Center. Now, that could have been a swerve because not everything was set up, but they are coming back to Los Angeles after, I think it's the week of or the week after No Mercy. If they don't announce that week Royal Rumble in LA, then I don't think we're going to get Royal Rumble in Los Angeles. So, middle of October, early to middle of October, we might finally know if or if not the Royal Rumble will be in Los Angeles. So, ask them questions, guys, because to be honest, this is supposed to be a recap of Backlash, and we did it pretty quickly. So, if you guys got questions, I'll answer them. Real Steph Curry says I'm calling Jeff Hardy return at the Royal Rumble. Jeff Hardy's under contract till at least February with TNA, so that can't happen. I mean, unless they have the Royal Rumble in February, but that wouldn't work anyways. Bill McGrath is asking when's the next joint pay-per-view. It is Survivor Series, and they did announce that the night before there will be an NXT event as well, all taking place in Toronto, Canada. Real Steph Curry's asking if I know anything on Mickey James, and nothing. Her and Magnus, they got their son. I know he's been working stuff with Jeff Jarrett's Global Force because, you know, Jeff Jarrett's still trying to get a TV deal for Global Force, but they have nobody interested, and they just run their house shows here and there. And her husband works for them. She's done a couple shows for them. She's done a couple indie shows here and there, but she hasn't really been wrestling as much here lately. And I've heard that there's heat on her in WWE based off of the way she left and the way she was let go and stuff. So it would be interesting to see her come back, but I don't know if she really would or is going to come back to the WWE. Nesach says AJ Styles versus Cena at the Royal Rumble. Think about that. Cena may be working. We did hear that Cena may be working from this week's SmackDown up until No Mercy, and then after No Mercy, he would have to leave for American Grit. He would come back right the month of Royal Rumble, so maybe that could work depending on if he feuds with AJ. I don't see him now that AJ is the champ. I don't know if he's going to feud with AJ now, but if they don't, it could happen come his return in January ish. Let's see. Master Theorist. Next person coming to the main roster from NXT. That's an interesting one because it was supposed to be Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was supposed to lose the title to Shinsuke Nakamura and then just come to the main roster. But now it looks like they're going to wait and they're going to do a rematch, I guess, at the November show, the one in Toronto. I don't know exactly what their plan is for Joe. So, because last I heard was Joe lose the title at SummerSlam weekend at NXT Takeover. Joe then come to the main roster. Nakamura hold the title for about 4 to 6 months, lose the title to somebody like a Hideo Itami, Austin Aries, or Bobby Roode, and then Nakamura come to the main roster. So it's going to be interesting as both guys are not going to be coming up before the end of the year, maybe only one of them before 2017. Broken Brother, You Got the Money asks, what's your thoughts on Joey Ryan? Talent. He is very talented. Joey Ryan does have a good mind for professional wrestling. He came up with that, I guess you can call it the pornplex, and he came up with that sleazy character he does, and that was all him. And it got over. He didn't know it was going to get over, but it got over, and it got over very well. And he's doing good for himself. He's with Lucha Underground, and he's working other promotions on the indies, so he's doing good for himself. He was in WWE back in developmental way back when, and they saw nothing in him. And it happens. They don't see anything in him. He goes somewhere else. You reinvent yourself, and then you become something. People are asking where I think Luke Harper is going to end up. Luke Harper, it's an interesting one because I have heard that They could put him on Raw because they're fine with him being on his own. They know that he can survive and he could be a good singles competitor, but at the same time, they may stick him with Bray on SmackDown. He was at the Performance Center this last week getting his knee evaluated. I heard he did do some light training in the ring, and he could come back within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Shelton Benjamin returns in January. Okay, I'm going to break the exclusive right here. I'm hearing that if Benjamin can get cleared, they want him for the Rumble. Don't quote me on this. It's just what I've been told. I've been hearing things on he's going to be out for about 6 months with his shoulder injury. If he can get cleared in time, he could be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. So just just keep that in mind. No no Laura asks, what are your thoughts on Mojo? And you feel about Paige leaving WWE? I say good for her. Mojo Rawley, eh, he's whatever. They they say that his character is just him times 10. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. I think he's overdoing it sometimes, and that's why the fans and the crowd don't get into him as much cuz I think he's trying too hard. As far as Paige goes, Paige may not be leaving. We know Del Rio's done with the WWE, but Paige, first off, she's got a contract that doesn't expire until 2019. So legally, unless she can get WWE to let her out, she can't go nowhere. She can't leave. Master Theorist is saying Finn return at Rumble. No. I can guarantee, I can confirm it to you here that they hope Finn is good enough to come back for Mania. Right now, the plan is to get Finn Balor back in time for WrestleMania 33. Royal Rumble, that's already out the door. That's already off the shelf because when he first went in for his surgery, they said, okay, you got a torn labrum. It's gonna take about an hour to fix you up. You'll be good. About 3-4 months, you'll be back. They went in, and it was worse. He had a bicep injury, a pectoral injury, a neck injury. Went from a 1 hour surgery to a 4 hour surgery. And now they're saying he's going to be lucky to come back in 8 to 9 months. So they're really hoping he can be back in time for WrestleMania 33. No Laura, the perfect 10 for SmackDown. They need to do something with dang Ty Dillinger because Ty Dillinger is so over, at least with that crowd down there in Full Sail, and all he does is job. He loses to new guys coming in, and he never gets an opportunity, and it's so sad. Desmond Hicks, glad to see ya, says Backlash was great. Dean vs. AJ Styles was awesome. And are you excited for the return of No Mercy? You can't really be excited for the return of No Mercy because it's not like it's a gimmick pay per view. It's not like a King of the Ring or an Elimination Chamber or even a Hell in a Cell when it first started. It's just a name, so the only thing there is nostalgia. That's it. Billy McGrath says, which show is the A show in your opinion? Mine is SmackDown. I think SmackDown has been a little better over the last couple of weeks, but after Backlash tonight, I'm kind of worried about SmackDown. SmackDown's got no depth. SmackDown put on a pay per view that felt like a regular TV show. Didn't feel like a pay per view event whatsoever. So we're gonna have to see how Raw does a Clash of Champions, but you already know they got that depth. They're getting the cruiserweights, so they're gonna have even more depth and more room to add more good matches to a pay per view. So I'm just worried that SmackDown has hit their peak already as far as what matches they can have as far as top matches, as far as good matches, before they start getting repetitive, or we start seeing champions defending against guys that are just, oh, we haven't used you yet, let's try you out. No, Laura says Shelton Benjamin in the New Day. Imagine that. Mm, I don't know. I think Shelton's too much of a serious character. Yeah, he was kind of silly when he did the whole Shelton's mama thing, but he's still more of a serious character, and I don't really think he would fit in good with the New Day. So let's see. Billy McGrath is asking, do you think SmackDown should go 3 hours as well to add depth and could leave room for SmackDown Cruiserweight title? Now, I don't want to see SmackDown go 3 hours. I want to see Raw go back to 2 hours, to be honest. And I have heard that they may add a Cruiserweight Championship to SmackDown. Vince was heard saying that he wants SmackDown and Raw to kind of be, compared as similar. He doesn't want A show and a B show. He wants two good shows. And one way to do that is to make sure they both have the same amount of titles. So if the cruiserweights go over well on Raw, maybe I wasn't given a time frame, but maybe say 6 to 7 months. Maybe we can see cruiserweights show up on SmackDown eventually. They're exclusive to Raw now, but maybe eventually they can show up on SmackDown. But all right, guys, it's gonna do it for this live stream tonight. Backlash, like I said, it was a 5 out of 10 show, but then we had some matches that stepped it up, so that bumped it up. In my opinion, is a 7 out of 10. So hey, Backlash was just there. It's not a show that I see many people going back and watching on the WWE Network. But thanks for joining me here tonight on this live stream. I appreciate y'all for being here. And keep it locked to Pro Wrestling Unlimited because we got some good stuff coming for you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. See you later.